Welcome to the Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. The fans lining up here in West Valley City, Utah, getting ready to cheer on the hometown Utes on a beautiful mid-March afternoon. Welcome to the Big 12 on ESPN. Session 2 of the Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. We have 4 heavyweights on hand here inside the Maverick Center looking to raise the trophy. Utah, the defending champion, but will we see BYU, Denver, or Arizona take home the crown in this year's edition? Hi there again with national champion Kennedy Baker. I'm Alex Perlman. Kennedy, it all comes down to this. Yes, you would say the Red Rocks are the heavy favorite, but it's the postseason. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen in the postseason, and Utah has had some struggles this season. They have to be on if they want another win at the Big 12 championships again.
Yeah, they really do. It's been kind of a rocky season in so many ways for Utah this year because, yes, they're the favorite coming in, undoubtedly. The ones that hit mid-197s routinely. They've gone up to 198 this year, setting that season high. The only team in the Big 12 that has hit that impressive plateau. And then in March, they secure the Big 12 regular season title once again, undefeated in conference at a 197.65 on senior day. This is an ultra impressive team, and for the Red Rocks, it is all about Avery Neff.
Believe it or not, Avery Neff has gotten better this year. Perfect 10 on vault earlier this year. Perfect 10 on bars earlier this year. She could put up huge numbers, and that would go a long way for the Utah program tonight.
So that is one of the 4 teams competing as Carly Dockendorf looks to repeat as the winning head coach this year. Carly Dockendorf in her 3rd season at the helm of Utah. BYU, the next team up just down the road here in Provo. For them, a bit of an uneven season. They've had highs, they've really had lows, though. A 195-2 against Arizona State. A reset, though, after that first meet at Utah. A little bit nervous, according to head coach Gard Young. All the way surging to a 197-225 their last time out in Clemson. One of just 2 teams that has reached that 197 plateau along with Utah. And for them, it's all about Kylie Quinto.
They have about 5 athletes or 6 that their main routines come from, and Kylie is one of those athletes, has this mother hen energy and gets the sticks going for their team.
Gard Young, the former Olympian back in 2004 in Athens with the U.S. and the BYU Hall of Famer, won 2 vault national champions, now in his 11th season at the helm of the women's gymnastics program with the Cougars. The Denver Pioneers will have something to say about it as well. They finished 3rd last year to Utah and surprise runner-up Arizona. This is a season that has been a little bit down, according to head coach Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt. Can they put 4 events together is the biggest question coming into this competition.
And that's focused on, led off with Cece Cooley. She has been, again, this season, she wants them not to be perfect. She wants a full, complete meet and them to fight all the way through.
And Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt in her 28th season, the winningest and longest tenured head coach in Denver history. And we wrap up the field with the Arizona Wildcats, their 2nd season competing in the Big 12. They had a season low 193.35 that head coach John Court said was maybe the worst meet of his career. Well, they really bounced back, got a huge walk-off rivalry win over Arizona State. Unfortunately, Emma Strom injures her ankle pre-meet against their senior night competition, but they still were able to get the win. We won't see Emma, unfortunately, tonight, but Abigail Martin will try to work her magic once again.
This program has been a little different than the other teams we're seeing. They've got a lot of seniority in their lineups. Gives them more of an edge with head coach John Court leading the charge again this year. Should be a strong meet for them.
Yeah, the reigning Big 12 Coach of the Year, because remember, Arizona was the team that made a huge push, the runner-up in last year's Big 12 championship. Can they put another fairy tale run together? We will find out. The Big 12 Gymnastics Championship Session 2 is next. Just moments away from the start of the Big 12 Gymnastics Championship Session 2 here in Utah. Before that, let's meet the third member of our broadcast team, Lauren Sisler. Hi, Lauren.
What's going on, Alex? And we're talking about Utah, the defending champs here for the Big 12. And they'll tell you they're not the same team that we saw back in January. After some early season struggles, they really went back to the drawing board, hit the reset button, and really reminded themselves of what it's like to be a Red Rock, using a simple image of a sheep versus a lion. Since then, they've competed like a team on the attack, putting up consistent 197s, building confidence through adversity, including battling illness and injury. Now behind stars like Avery Neff, who they call a lion, Utah feels like they're peaking at exactly the right time.
And that is good news for a team that has never missed NCAA Nationals, the only program to qualify for all 39. Cami Winger gets us started off for the Red Rocks.
Step backwards on that Yurchenko 1.5, the only team competing tonight with all 10.0 start value vaults.
There's BYU to begin. Rye Kirkham, they start on bars here tonight.
A little short on that shoot over down to the low bar. Judges need to see the toes vertical in the handstand when they do those casts. And again, short on that last handstand as well. Legs buckled a little bit on that dismount. The score that they're going to want to drop, not a miss, but
Megan Arnold, the Denver freshman from San Jose, gets the Pioneers going.
Denver has started with a lot of freshmen on beam throughout the years. Likes for them to initiate the energy and get it over with. Deeper in the lineup, they have those seniors and juniors sprinkled in. Starts with that young energy for the team.
The only score so far, Cami Winger's 9-8. The one to beat at the moment is Arizona State in the afternoon session, scoring a 195-225.
Well done for Megan. Step forwards on that gainer. You want to see those dismounts when they land with a back tuck or a backwards flip. Take a step back if they take a step, not forwards, but did her job of staying on the beam and got the ball rolling.
And that's a good sign for Denver. Again, coming off of a season low 47-4. Kind of a disaster, 3 falls. For Utah, their entire lineup is top 5 in the conference. That is how good they are on vault. Cami Winger started off with a 9-8, and here's our first look at Ella Zerbis, who is competing in the all-around for Utah, along with the star Avery Neff. She'll anchor.
Small shuffle forwards, but really nice control coming out. Absolutely drilled that vault against UCLA last week. It's hard on those 1.5 twists because it's a blind landing. You have to know the timing and have the correct moment that your arms flare out to get the stick.
Let's go back to bars here for BYU with Adeline Glazier from nearby Mapleton, Utah. First score for BYU is a 9-7. In order to beat a team like Utah, if they're hitting, you cannot count a 9-7. It's got to be 9-8 or better, just has to. And so they will look to potentially drop that score. 6 gymnasts competing per event for each team. You keep the 5 highest, you drop the lowest. So you do have a little bit of margin for error, but not much.
Adeline working smoothly through this routine. I was impressed with that Jaeger. She's had some struggles throughout her career on that skill, caught with completely straight elbows. Exactly what the judges want to see. I couldn't tell if there was foot movement in the left foot, but much better routine for them. That should be higher than that 9-7. Hopefully get those 9-8s going for them.
Denver began with Amold's 9-8. That's a really good start here for the Pioneers. Ranked 26th in the country on beam. It is their weakest event. She just barely does stay on. But she stayed on, and that's really important.
It is really important. That could have been a bigger mistake. Impressed with her calmness as a freshman. Hasn't had a lot of experience on these podiums. Actually graduated to school early after high school. Tried to get the stick on that, small shuffle backwards. Did her job of staying on the beam, but that is the score they're going to want to drop. Significant deduction in that leg.
Let's check out Arizona for the first time. So far, we've seen Tirza Wise with a 9.875. Here's Riley Carmen. This is one of the lower-ranked rotations for Arizona. They're 31st in the country on floor, and coming in at number 29 right now in overall. And that's important because the top 36 teams in the country make it into regionals. And without, they probably are going to get to regionals, but with a very low score, there's a possibility they don't. So this meet is very important for a lot of reasons.
Nice control out of that. Like you said, they have been expecting to make it to regionals, but they have to put together a strong competition. Can't give away any tenths, need to be dialed in on this floor. So far, so good. Really nice job on her ending leaps. Got those wolf pulls all the way around. Judges need to see those feet completed 360 degrees around.
Back to beam we go for Denver, and Abby Steely's score comes in as a 9.525. That huge balance check really cost the Pioneers. And now it's going to be up to Ashley Gallen, Madison Reidenbach, the terrific all-arounder, Amanda Hargraves, and Cece Cooley to hit, because you do not want to count a 9.525 when you are going up against a team like Utah. And BYU, with a great night, could very well take the title as well as Arizona.
The pressure is on the rest of this beam lineup, starting with Ashley. Ashley had a mistake in this routine last week, fell on her side aerial. Nice job on her acro series there.
It's a really fluid lineup for Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt. Maybe the most changes throughout the season. And it's an inexperienced one as well. I mean, Cece Cooley is really the only athlete that comes back after competing last year.
This is almost a completely different lineup than last year. Not a lot of experience. So when you head into the postseason, when you're up on podium, it's even tougher for these teams because they haven't gotten the same numbers under their belt when everybody's so young.
How about how Arizona started on floor with back-to-back 9.875s?
Nice job for Arizona building those scores. Good job for Ashley as well to get the team back on track. No mistakes today.
Really important there, following up the 9.525 from Abby Steely. And now BYU will be on bars, having a bit of technical issues, we're being told right now on this apparatus. But Deb Silva, the sophomore, competed all of last year with a torn labrum and had off-season surgery to repair it. And because of that, last year she was a vault specialist, but back to bars as well as floor for every meet this year.
Deb open release. Catches the bar again. Huge off of the bar. I like the amplitude. You have to have patience in your release moves to get height. Almost too much patience on that pack salto. Good job working out of that. Had to work the bar a little bit. Ends with this full twisting double tuck. Clean landing out of it. Good routine. They're getting it back on track from Maya's 9.7, getting these 9.8s going for the team.
And I am sure that you heard that uproar coming from the Utah Red Rocks fans. And here is why. McKenna Smith's vault.
This vault is so challenging because she twists before she even gets to the table. You have to have the right timing to get the block correct and just nail that stick like McKenna did.
A 9.95, a different judging in the postseason as well. This round and the regional round, there are 4 judges. So you drop the highest score and the lowest score. You average the middle 2, and that is how you come up with the final score. So a 9.95 for Smith. And now Elizabeth LaRusso, as she follows back-to-back 9.875s. Arizona needs to have a big floor rotation to stay in this competition.
Well, they have some big routines coming up. A couple E-passes sprinkled in the back half of this lineup. Elizabeth LaRusso just started with their first.
I think it's amazing. She moved to Las Vegas with her family, relocated to train. Where'd she train? She trained at Gymnastics. You cannot make it up. That's her club. And she ends up competing for the Gymcats in college.
Last pass closes with this 1.5 front layout. Good effort, actually under-rotated the 1.5 a little bit. Had to put in more work for the layout. Good job finessing out of that skill though.
Back to vault we go. Here's Ashley Glynn following up McKenna Smith's 9.95. She is capable of a huge score. Glynn, the senior, had just a 9.825 in their last meet. A 197 for UCLA, setting a road high.
Small shuffle backwards, tried to find the timing, just flared those arms a hair too late.
And that was the reigning Big 12 coach champion on vault. Kylie Quinto now, our first look at an amazing gymnast. BYU's lone all-arounder, hoping to drop Deb Silva's 9.675. The lone senior and the AAI award nominee for the team.
And the mother hen energy of the team
right.
as well. Closes with this double layout. Feet were too far in front coming into the landing. Had to take that hop backwards. Clean work throughout the routine though.
And on beam, Ashley Gallen scoring 9.7. That needs to count, and for Denver, Reidenbach starting here is going to have to start putting up big numbers. We're talking 9.8 plus. You saw her beam average this season. It is above that. Reidenbach, the junior, all Big 12 in the all-around. She was ranked 5th in the conference.
Beautifully done on the opening full turn. Showed off that releve coming out.
Sorry, my mistake. That's Amanda Hargraves. Reidenbach came in at a 9.775 when we were paying attention to Ashley Glynn on vault. So that really puts even more pressure here on Amanda.
And Amanda has some hard skills like this switch leap to tourgite quarter. Most of the time you see those tourgites on the floor because it's such a tricky leap to do. Focuses on being patient, staying tight in her core when she takes off, and going big on the skill. What head coach Melissa Reinhart told us in our coach calls earlier. Such a nice stick out of that.
And then Sophie Durr, who has added beam to compete all around. On February 21st, she led with a 39.275 and had a career high 9.9 on floor, first time competing on floor. And she is in the room where it happens because this is session 2 of the Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. What everybody hopes for, and impressing on floor. Here's Avery Neff to anchor Utah on vault, following up the 9.875 from Ashley Glynn. The 7-time Big 12 Gymnast of the Week.
You saw she opened just a hair too soon. Legs were too straight coming into the ground. Usually she absorbs that. Avery Neff has some of the best technique on that Yurchenko 1.5 in the country. The way she comes into the table, delays the takeoff, and then flares her arms out is some of the best vault work in the nation.
I mean, Avery is ranked first in the Big 12 in every event except for floor, and that includes all around. Ava Jorgensen. Kylie Quinto's score was a 9.75.
Ooh, so high on her opening release, slightly short in the cast following, and a little short in the dismount pass as well. Just a small shuffle backwards, but if they want to be in competition with Utah, these teams have to get the stick.
You can see early on Utah with that 49.375. They drop a 9.8 from Cammie Winger. And in the postseason, you do see a lot of judges scoring maybe a little bit more difficult than they did throughout the regular season. So to see a 49.375, that's a good start for Utah.
Well, the unfortunate part, though, about those scores in the postseason, in the second session, they loosen up. So for the teams in the first session, they have even harder judging than the second session usually.
Our first look at Abby Martin for Arizona on floor. 9.925 for Sophie Durr. She ate on that one, and now Martin will get her first opportunity. The all-arounder who's ranked third in the Big 12, behind Avery Neff as well as Arizona State's Kimmy Smith. She has won all around the last two meets. And a 9.9 on the floor in their home win to close out the regular season a week ago.
Abby is such a powerful athlete. You're going to see her do 3 tumbling passes. A lot of that shuffle backwards. They're allowed to take that step back to the lunge, but they have to keep the front foot planted if they don't want a deduction.
She did seem to stay in bounds, however, even though she had a big hop backwards. And right now, with the way that the scores are shaping up, Arizona's going to be in second. It's going to be a repeat from what we saw last year with Arizona finishing the surprising runner-up.
That's the fun part about gymnastics. It's about who shows up on the day. Last year, they weren't the second-rate team coming into the second session, but I felt the energy was so strong from them. The desire to win was so much that they ended up in second. Same thing today. I could totally see them winning or getting second if they can continue with the sticks. But they've got to be dialed in the whole meet. It can't just be floor. Another scoop back.
Look, but the good news is 9.85 from Elizabeth LaRusso is what they're dropping right now. So, yes, this is going to be a lower score than that, but with just one gymnast to go, Delaney Mead puts together a great routine in the anchor spot. Arizona's fine.
And Delaney can do absolutely that. She has a huge opening tumbling pass, opens with an E-level skill. If she can dial that in, it could be a really big score.
Let's finish it up here on bars for BYU with Elila Alvarado. Back-to-back 9.75s for Quinto and Jorgensen. At the moment, they are only counting one score in the 9.8 range. Alvarado can do much, much better than that, and she is going to need to if BYU is going to stay in this competition through one rotation. Still a lot of gymnastics to go, but you do not want to plant yourself in too big a hole early on.
Fought to save that handstand. Just the dismount left. Goes to the same dismount we saw from Ava. Double layout. Shuffle backwards, clean routine. In the postseason, though, the landings are always important, but it just elevates the stakes. With more teams, you don't want to give any tenths away in those scooches and hops.
So final scores are in for Utah as well as Denver. And Denver with a 49.05. That's a good reset for them from last week. They did what they needed to. stayed on the beam. Yes, they counted a couple scores in the 9-7s, but 9-9-2-5 for Cece's massive. And now this is a lot of pressure on Delaney Meade if Arizona wants to stay within striking distance of Utah. They can even take the lead here, though, with the 9-8-7-5. That's how good this floor rotation has been for the Cats.
When you twist forwards, not only do you have to have good air awareness, you have to have good timing. It's a blind landing. You can't see where your feet are landing. And you have to be correct in those arms. Oh, kept them in too long.
Saw the flag go up. That's a mandatory 1/10 deduction. But, again, Martin's score was a 9-8. You count a 9-8, you're doing okay. It's not that is not the end of the world by any means.
And that's something this team has been really good at this season, is dialing it in. If a mistake happens, if there's something that they weren't planning to do, they reset. And that's what they've been working on all season long. Want to see that same effort here if they see mistakes. Ooh. Feet were a little too far behind her on that front Rudy, and she's actually supposed to do a layout step out of that. So her start value might be impacted because she doesn't have all of the skills she needs in this routine. Too much gas on that. You see those toes out, that 1/10 out of bounds deduction.
So this is going to be the lowest score for Arizona, almost definitely, and the 9-8 for Abby Martin will count for Arizona. So it is looking like they are going to have a 49-3-2-5, which is very solid. And that is going to put them just barely in second place after Utah's a 49-3-7-5 on vault. We've got ourselves a great competition here early on. And so we just wait on this final score here from Arizona to see, just to confirm, I think, you know, if this is going to be the lead for Denver, which we definitely expect it to be. But Arizona, don't ever count out the Wildcats in the competition in postseason, because we've seen it year in and year out, and certainly after last year, you'd think that would give them some confidence moving into this one.
Totally, and some teams thrive in the postseason. Arizona is quickly becoming one of those teams. Utah is also one of those teams. Postseason is meant for them. They step up, they get the sticks underway.
And this is a team that had to replace a couple all-arounders in Allison Fears and Emily Muller, plus fifth-year Elena Dietz, who was all Big 12 on beam. And they have been able to do just that, especially at the end of this season, where they have just gotten better and better. Delaney Meade, as we wait for her final score to come in, it is a 9-2-5. So as confirmed, the lead is Utah's after the first rotation. Lauren is standing by with the Denver head coach, Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt.
Coach, you had the option to pick second for your rotation. You went with beam. Why did you go with beam?
I know they're capable of it, and I wanted to face it head on and strong.
So looking at the end result, I saw you over there dancing, all that little bit of energy. What do you think about their performance?
I'm thrilled. 6 for 6. There's room to improve, but we started off confident, and now we can continue to go one event at a time.
And what's your message to them heading into the next 3?
Stay in the bubble. Do what they know how to do. They're prepared.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. Denver 0.325 behind, so they are still right in it. BYU 0.6, but Arizona nipping on the heels of Utah after one rotation here in Utah. We'll be back right after this for much more Big 12 gymnastics. Tomorrow afternoon, the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship second round continues on ABC with a couple of 2-7 matchups. Michigan, NC State at 1 Eastern, then LSU and Texas Tech. Wolverines blew out Holy Cross in their first matchup, and LSU dropped 115 points on Jacksonville. Kim Mulkey's crew looking like they are set at a run to a potential natty. Only now we are seeing the gymnasts move over to their next apparatus, because, Kennedy, the question was, about start value on the floor. Here's what we've seen so far. Utah with a 49.375. Just a half-tenth behind. Arizona is lurking with a really strong floor rotation, followed up by Denver and BYU. Let's look at Delaney Mead's last pass and potentially what the judges are kind of confused about.
They're trying to see if she has enough skills in her routine to start at a 10. She was supposed to do another skill out of that, a layout step out, came in too short, didn't do the extra skill, so she's missing an element. Now they're deciding where she starts at because of that missing element.
About how many tenths are we talking here in start value?
4 or 5.
Oh, wow, that's a big difference.
4 or 5, I would say. Maybe 3. But you need all your skills. You have to have a certain amount of elements in your routine to start at a 10.0. If you're missing it, you're going to start at a 9.7, a 9.6.
Well, you might ask, that score's being dropped, right? It was a 9.2. It's clearly going away. Why does it matter? It's because the tiebreaker is you count all 6 scores. You count all 24 total scores, which we've already seen. We saw it at Sprouts earlier this year.
Gymnastics, it's anybody's day. You can't assume that someone's going to come in and win just based off of that scoring, and coaches get specific. They want to know what you take. We saw the Inquirer on beam as well earlier in the session, and again today, again in this session, they want all of the tenths that they can get.
Kennedy, what did you make of the first session, what we saw from all 4 teams?
In the first session, it was exciting. I feel like they had some struggles, but they bounced back strongly, and that's what it matters in gymnastics, about your resiliency. How well can you get back on track? Because you never know.
And what about what Utah did in rotation 1?
Utah did pretty much what we've seen from Utah Vault most of the season. They're just such a dominant vault team. Last week against UCLA, Avery Neff got that 10 earlier this year. Ashley Ginn's gone 9.975. They're a good vault team, and we saw that today.
But as we go to rotation number 2, Utah is going to be on the bars, and we know what that means here with an athlete like Avery Neff who can go perfect 10.
She got a perfect 10 on bars and just flies so high. We cannot wait to see her and the rest of the lineup in a couple seconds. We'll be right back.
Here's what we have seen so far just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah. It's a lead for the Utes. McKenna Smith with her dazzling 9.95, Yurchenko 1.5. Arizona's right there, 5 scores of 9.8 or better. Really impressive for them on floor. Denver did what they needed to on beam. It's their worst event, and they scored above a 49, and then we will see if BYU can come back a little bit stronger here. By the way, just putting a bow on that discussion with start value for Delaney Mead for Arizona, she goes from a 9.25 to a 9.15. That is still dropped, but again, we talked about it. You have to get into a situation where you count all 6 scores that could actually come back and really affect them. So Arizona has a really important meet ahead of them for the rest of this because they're sitting at number 30 in the country at this moment. You need to be in the top 28 to avoid the first round of NCAA regionals. So you see, they need to pass San Jose State and they need to pass Utah State. You don't jump 2 scores. Maryland's already locked in at 27. So there's one more spot available for 3 teams right now.
And this is going to be a big test for Arizona, especially on vault. A little bit of a disadvantage for them. They don't have any 10.0 start value vaults, so they need to get these sticks on these Yurchenko fulls.
Ready for the second of 4 rotations here inside the Mavericks Center. Arizona heads to vault, and we will see what the Wildcats can do. Can they continue that momentum? You know, this is actually tied with vaults, or rather with bars for strength rotation. And just because you don't have 10.0 star values doesn't necessarily mean that you can't put up good scores. You start at 9.95, but you just have to be a little bit more accurate in terms of your execution.
Have to be perfect, but we have proof of that in this building. Miley O'Keefe won the all-around with a 995 start value vault at the national championship. It can be done, but you have to be exceptional in your landing coming out.
Tirza Wise, the junior, coming up. She will start it off. She's a mechanical engineer major, has a huge course load, but told her head coach John Court she wants to make more of an impact, lighten her load to 15 credits instead of 20.
Nice landing out of that. A small shuffle back, but that's what head coach John Court said he wanted from those vaults. You're allowed a small hop, a small shuffle, but on those fools, I want sticks.
To beam we go here for BYU. Our first look at the very talented freshman out of Springville, Utah, Scarlett Sonnenberg, the first 5-star recruit in Big 12, rather BYU history, that is. They beat out the likes of Michigan, Minnesota, Oregon State, Michigan State to get there. And we have the 2 5-stars in Utah history competing in this very meet. You know the other one, Avery Neff. Ooh, oh.
Mistake after that acro series, big wobble from Scarlett. She's been starting this lineup for them most of the season, only a freshman.
How many tenths are we talking on that?
Well, an arm circle is a 1/10 deduction, so the judges can use their own discretion. After you get past 2, I don't think they're going to take 3 or 4 if you just keep circling. But they could take up to 2 tenths in just those arm circles. Nice stick out of that. Did a good job of staying on top of the beam, but you want sticks on top of the beam as well as the dismount.
BYU starting with that 48.775 on beam. They need to put big scores up to get back in this competition, currently sitting in 4th. So let's go back to vault with Abby Martin. That's 9.725 for Tirza Wise. So they did take a lot off of that Yurchenko full. Martin has, you know what, I'm going to say it afterward. I'm not going to jinx her this time. She just hits. I mean, she absolutely hits every routine in her career on vault.
Ashley Glenn is exceptional on bars. Watch her form throughout this routine. She does also a lot of shoulders in this routine, a very challenging element. You've got to have a lot of ab strength because you're not putting your toes on the bar. You're only using your core on some of your skills. Shoulder I talked about. Does get into her dismount as well. And you see that form, the toe point, the legs, oh.
Wow, she had it too, just until the dismount. And that is going to be the score that Utah really needs to drop.
Held onto the bar a little bit too long, actually pulled it in slightly, is what we say in gymnastics. When you hold on too long, you risk almost hitting your feet on the bar.
And so let's go to floor here for Denver. Already one gymnast down. Now is Ashley Gallen, and now it'll be up to Amanda Hargraves. But that's a good start from a leadoff. Traditionally, at least in a perfect world, you want the scores to build. You know, you start with your leadoff. They are one of your more consistent gymnasts. They might not give you that 9-9 plus score, but they are going to give you a hit. That's what Gallen did, and now let's see if Hargraves can build on it.
And they did a good job of starting with those 9-8 scores last week against Oregon State. Closed with CC's 9-9-2-5. They can build well here. Opens with this front layout, front Rudy, 1.5 twist. Well done.
This is Denver's best event by far. They're ranked 12th on floor this season. It's traditionally a very strong event for them.
And they've had some cool gymnasts in their floor lineups over the years. I have to mention Lizzie Brown because she was just electric when we watched her.
Lindsey Brown was a fan favorite. You didn't have to be a Pioneers fan at all.
Clean work so far throughout this routine. Just the last pass ends with this 1.5 to layout. I like when they dance cleanly into their choreography. Coaches do it to try and hide and minimize deductions, but sometimes it's not clean. It can look a little messy. Did a good job showing that she landed the pass and danced out of it smoothly.
For BYU on beam, Sonnenberg with a 9.65, Jorgensen with a 9.8. And here is Alila Alvarado.
Alila is a beautiful beam worker, has some unique skills in this routine.
Got a 9.75 to start off her evening on vault. Rather on bars, I should say.
Good effort on that front handspring, or on that back handspring layout. Had to fight to stay on that front foot.
Very solid for the freshman.
The skill that Alila does is so unique. A rueda, it's called. It's called a swing down in gymnastics, but she keeps her legs straight and flares it in the middle, upgrades it to a rueda. Such a cool combination. And Gainerful. Good job of fighting through that acro series. Could have been a bigger problem than it was today.
Give me more rueda. That's incredibly impressive. All right, to vault we go. Sophie Durr follows up the 9.625 from Elizabeth LaRusso. It's a little hard for me to focus with Wicked going on in the background here. The Broadway-themed Kylie Rorick Denver floor routine going on. Sophie Durr building off of the couple of 9.725s. This is a moment for Arizona. They need a big hit. They got it.
Nice job. Actually looked like she missed the block earlier. I'm impressed with the way she was able to get that landing around. So smooth. I asked head coach John Court how he builds these lineups, and it's score-based. There's a lot of different philosophies that coaches take in their approaches to lineups. Some like younger competitors first, some like bigger scores first. John likes to build his scores so the back half are his biggest scores.
So we'll go to beam now with Kylie Quinto as we wait on Alvarado's score to come in. We have now had, this is our second rotation, right? You could probably hear in the background. This is the second time that we've already had a Hamilton-themed, the exact same song too, The Room Where It Happens.
Everybody loves Hamilton,
yeah,
Alex.
they do, and they love Broadway. Reisman score for Utah was a 9.87, or rather 9.85. As we wait for BYU on beam, recapping Denver's floor, 9.82599. That's exactly what they wanted to see out of Hargraves. Sophie Durr's score a 9.775 for Arizona. And so why don't we go to bars while we have the chance. With Ella Zerbis, one of the two all-arounders, along with Avery Neff, who you'll see in the final spot for this rotation.
Ella working beautifully through this routine, has also elevated her gymnastics this year. It's even more consistent.
That is a massive, massive dismount. Now Quinto on beam. I can't wait to see that score coming in for Zervis.
Shaky, that's her acro series. Couldn't quite get to her back foot on that side aerial. They've looked a little shaky on beam overall.
It's also a team that's improved 17 ranking spots from last year on beam. Stayed on, but that's going to be a huge deduction. So they're going to have to count the 9.65 in the leadoff spot from the freshman Sonnenberg.
Uncharacteristic from Kylie on that split three-quarter. Just couldn't get the plie in her knees that she needed coming out of it when she impacts with the beam. Gainer full dismount left. Nice stick, but that deduction on that split three-quarter is going to be huge, almost equivalent to the 5/10 fall.
Ella Zervis' score came in at 9.85, and you heard a little bit of disdain from the crowd here. A lot of red, as you can imagine, for the hometown Utes, competing just about 20 minutes away from the Huntsman Center on campus. Ainsley Griever follows up the 9.775. To break into that range, they just have to in order to stay with Utah.
And they've been kind of tight on scoring on vault, Alex. We saw that even in the first session. These judges are taking the full deductions on this event. Another hop back for those Yurchenko fulls, but you can't take those hop backs on those 9.95 start value vaults. You kind of have to get the stick.
Yes. Or else just the potential for your scoring plummets, unfortunately, and that's just kind of what happens when you have that Yurchenko full. It's easier to stick, so the judges are going to reward you for the stick and deduct when you don't. Ada Potterariu here for Utah, the former Canadian international. Won a silver world medal competing for the Canadians. She's the reigning beam 12 champ, but Big 12 champ that is. But Potterariu goes down, and now that 9.575 for Utah is going to have to count. And we have seen inconsistencies, and Anna looks a little shaken up there.
Such an uncharacteristic mistake from Anna. Had a really nice cast handstand, but when you get those handstands all the way up, you have to be more patient putting your toes on the bar, talking through things with her coach and trainer. Utah had some illness last week, might be working through some of that.
7 gymnasts had the flu last week.
There is a time limit though.
And hopefully
you have up to...
Anna's still okay to go. How long? So 30 seconds. The time limit, and hopefully she's okay. There's head coach Carly Dockendorf, and she is going to scratch. So they are clearly going to drop that score, and Ashley Glynn with a 9.575 will count, and the pressure's on Avery Neff, and hopefully Anna's okay because she's so good on beam coming up. But of course, nothing is more important than her health.
In that fall, you know, she fell backwards. When you're ill on those Maloney's, if you miss them, you might bop your head a little bit in the back. Just being cautious with her, making sure that she's safe and feeling well.
To floor for Denver, riding back following the 9.875 from Shyla Bhatia, which is great news for Denver because we weren't sure if we'd get to see her compete. She rolled her ankle during training this week, and thankfully, she seems good to go. 9.875 for the freshman.
Shyla has been excellent for this Denver program, especially on floor. Such a twister, even in her leaps, the switch side half, straddle jump.
where would Denver be without Madison Reidenbach this year? 4 scores of 9-9 or better on floor. This is turning into a really good rotation. We've seen high scores so far this competition on floor.
Excuse me, Maddie has dynamic gymnastics as well. Actually opens with a unique combination packs, has this whip half front Ruby, nailed it earlier.
If Denver continues this, they're going to be right back in the mix, potentially going into the 3rd rotation. Anchoring Utah on bars, Avery Neff. She has 3 10. One of them came on bars. She had the first 10 of the season in the NCAA at the Sprouts Invitational. And that was only the 2nd week of the year. And it kind of set the gymnastics world on fire because a lot of times you don't see 10s that early on. She's backed it up.
And it was deserved. Sometimes we see 10s that maybe might not be the most 10-like routine, but Avery's was undeniable.
Last January, she battled back from grade 3 sprains in both of her ankles. They thought her season was over. She returns 3 weeks later, and head coach Carly Dockendorf told us that we saw her at the best that she can be, but not necessarily her best. This year, I think we're seeing her at her best. And if she's not the Big 12 Gymnast of the Year, I don't know who is.
She was so good last year. I forgot that she was out for the beginning of the season. She only came into play really in the postseason.
I know we were talking to Carly about that. And she was like, well, don't forget, we haven't necessarily seen the best of her. And you thought, oh yeah, it just seems like she's always been at that level.
This Ginger is so high in the air. Just terrific, smooth swing into her low bar connection. Closes with this full twisting double layout.
Wow. Show-stopping.
That routine is so good and so consistent.
And especially with Poderariu's 5.2, that is the score that's obviously going to go away. And Avery Neff just anchored Utah exactly how she needed to. Cece Cooley follows up the 9-9 from Denver's Madison Reidenbach. They're dropping a 9.825 at the moment. Cooley is capable of much more than that here in her New York-themed routine. Last year was the first year that she competed all 3 events, and she usually has Taylor Swift as her choice for floor music, but this year it's New York themed. Something I can get down with, being a New Yorker.
Little Jay-Z and Alicia Keys moment here. Love it so far. First pass was good, a little low in that amplitude. When they do jumps after their passes, you want to see the jump be the highest thing coming out.
Cece hails from New York City. I guess she's always in a New York state of mind. Trained at Gotham Gymnastics in Brooklyn, competing all the way across the country, the Mile High City.
Had a lot of power coming out of that. You saw that slight finesse. Clean routine. Well done. Denver did another good job of building their lineup, starting with that 9.825. They're going to drop that score. Cece's going to put up another big score for them, and they did a good job of building off of each athlete. We've seen them do that a lot this season on floor, but did it again in the postseason when it really matters.
9.825 right there. They take the Utah because they did have to count the 9.575 from Ashley Glenn. We knew that if Utah was going to have to count a lower score, that this could be a wide open competition.
And we said that in the beginning. This is not anyone's game, okay? It's whoever shows up on the day and has the best.
And so we're still waiting on Cooley's score to come in to see if Denver does indeed have the lead. Do they leapfrog Utah with a 9-8-2-5? Well, the way that the score tower says 9-8-4-5 through 2, they have Utah in second at the moment. We are hearing there are a few inquiries, though. We've had a lot of inquiries so far here in the second session of the Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. Alex Perlman, national champion with Florida Kennedy Baker. Along with you, Lauren Sisler, the third member of our broadcast team. So glad to join you once again from West Valley City, Utah, just outside of Salt Lake City. As Cooley's score comes in as a 9-8-5, which means that Gallen with a 9-8-2-5, that's dropped. And Denver has the lead going into the third rotation. It is a half a tenth, so it is still a very, very tight competition. Lauren standing by with the BYU head coach, Guard Young.
Coach, 2 events down. You talk about being the big equalizer. How do you feel like your team stepped up there?
Well, first of all, I'm just so proud of these young ladies. They're showing a lot of fight and a lot of grit. And, you know, maybe they need to be a little more relaxed and let things swing and develop. But, you know, they're hitting those handstands and gripping that bar. They're doing those flips on the beam and gripping their toes. So a lot of fight, a lot of grit, but, you know, we got to execute a little bit better.
Yeah, what will be the biggest focus from your team? What do you need to see from them in these last 2 events?
Let's just loosen up. We're going to floor, so it's a floor party. Go and have fun out there. You know, it's on a podium, and floor on podium is amazing. Now, can they control it? Because sometimes that energy gets to you and you bounce out of bounds. So can they control it?
All right, Coach, thank you.
You bet. Go Cougs.
Well, we have seen big floor scores, including Denver right there with a 49-4-2-5. And it's the Pioneers in front halfway home here in session 2 of the Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. Much more to come right after this. Basketball Championship first round continues tonight at 10 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Cal Baptist taking on number 1 seed UCLA, looking for a potential national championship. They are so talented this year, certainly one of the favorites. But we've got a lot of talent out here on the mats at the Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. And so far what we have seen, 2 events down and 2 to go, and it is not Utah who is ahead. Instead, it is Denver. The Pioneers, with a huge floor rotation, have taken the lead because Utah had to count a pretty low score, around 9-5. So let's go back to some of those highlights that we saw from Utah on bars, because it was a really good rotation, save for a couple of mistakes.
Yeah, McKenna led this rotation so strongly. This front pike half is so challenging, and I love the way she sticks. She's like, yeah, I got that. Ella followed her up with her full twisting double tuck sticks. When they're on, and they're undeniable. AB Ness thinks a full twisting double layout is easier to stick than one without the full twist. That's just how talented she is.
But unfortunately, with the fall from Anna Potterariu, she was a scratch, could not continue. We're getting an update from Lauren. We'll have that for you in just a moment. Actually, I'm being told we have it right now. Lauren, an update on Anna?
Yeah, no official update on the status of the injury itself, but she did come out of the locker room. She is over here in the beam corral hugging with her teammates. She actually still has her grips on, which is an indicator that she will not compete here in the beam lineup. It looks like McKenna Smith will go in her place. But it looks like she's got a smile on her face, which is good news. Maybe in a little bit of pain, but it's good to see her out here smiling and okay.
Lauren, thank you. So McKenna Smith also heads into the all-around, and now after a couple of rotations, she is leading the all-around. Let's go to event number 3 next here in Utah. Welcome back to the Big 12 on ESPN in picturesque Utah, just outside of Salt Lake City. Mountains glorious at sunset. It was 80 degrees here today, unseasonably warm. We weren't complaining, though, going out after session number 1 at Get Lunch. Amanda Hargraves is going to start for Denver on vault, who has the lead after 2 rotations over the favorite Utah.
Yes, ma'am, just nails that Yurchenko full. Was actually under-rotated in her last performance on that vault. So happy she was able to find the stick today. Look, the patience that she had off of the table. Don't play with Denver today.
Hargraves has had a really nice meet so far. And for Denver, there's no focus on scores right now. Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt said, I want them to know I think they can do it, but they're just going to try out and put 4 events together. That's the ultimate success. Well, they are 2 for 2 so far. Now some work to do for Utah on beam, starting out with Elizabeth Gantner. We'll see Avery Neff and Cammie Winger anchor this rotation, but they need hits early on to try to restore some of that confidence.
Well, Elizabeth Gantner can get them back on track. Beautiful work. I love the way she performs that back handspring layout, step out. She went in last year in critical moments, so she has a high ability to handle pressure. Fought really hard to get into this beam lineup consistently this year. Nice job on that straddle jump as well. Judges want to see those legs at 180 degrees completely. Just the dismount left. Stunning work throughout this routine. If she can get the stick on this. A slight raise in the right heel, but wow. That is the routine that Utah needed, especially to start off this beam lineup.
We had a score change from Denver. It actually went up, so they're up 3/4 of a tenth going in to this 3rd rotation. Here's Savannah Kasparian for Denver on vault, following up Hargraves 9-8 to start.
2 sticks in a row?
They are here. Denver has arrived. I mean, this is a team that perennially would finish runner-up to Oklahoma, of course, is one of the best programs in NCAA history. They might win this year.
And this, we talked about those Yurchenko fulls. You have to stick these landings. This is what the judges want to see from that 995 start value vault. Dialed in because it's an easier vault to do.
If you are counting scores over 9-8, you are going to at least give yourself a chance. I mean, Denver has had 7 runner-ups in the Big 12. They finished 3rd to Utah and Arizona last year. Let's remember that not too long ago, they beat Oklahoma as well in the Big 12 championships. That was with stud Lindsey Brown out there on the mat. So Utah starts off with Elizabeth Gantner's 9.875. And now Ella Zerbis, the all-arounder.
She has nice execution throughout this routine. We saw it on bars as well. Nice job. On the feet cam, you could actually see on the back handspring, she was off to the side, had to readjust in the layout. Struggled in the beginning of the season, had a fall at the first meet. She's found her rhythm though, and this back half has worked really hard. And on moments like that in her choreography, you see that form and execution, just exquisite. Head coach Carly Dockendorf likes Ella in these lineups because her form scores really well in these college settings.
You know, incredibly, this is one of the only events that she wasn't named all Big 12 on, vault, bars, and floor, but showing she can bring it on beam. Added in beam 6 times this year. Let's get to BYU on the floor. Sonnenberg starting with a 9.95. Wow, that's a big number for the Cougars. Stacey Stevenson trying to follow that up. And BYU sitting in fourth coming into this third rotation.
Super clean out of that front 1.5 twist. We heard head coach Guard Young said he wanted his team to go full out, to have fun. Low in that back leg on the split full. Judges need to see those legs even as well as at 180 degrees. Last pass closes with a front full. Smooth landings on her passes.
Well, if there's one thing that's really working for BYU, it's that they get to be on the floor, because by far we've seen the highest scores in this competition happening in that event. To bars for Arizona, where they've started with a 9.65, 9.725 coming in for Sadie Smith, and now Delaney Mead. If Arizona has any chance of staying in this competition, they have to start putting up some 9.8 plus scores.
Delaney has a big bar routine, opens with this Pike Jaeger, an E-level release, and let go too early and miss the bar. If you don't touch the bar on your release moves, you don't get credit for it. I need to see how close she was to the bar, because she might have to repeat it again. She touched it.
She did.
She gets credit for the skill.
And so that will change where you pick up your routine.
So instead of having to repeat the Pike Jaeger, she's just gonna cast, do her transition down to the low bar and finish it out. Oh.
BYU is killing it on floor with a 9.925 and a 9.95 so far.
She's gonna repeat it. Okay.
Can she nail it this time? Yes, she can.
Good job on that pack salto down. The frustrating part about events like bars is when you have to go back and repeat skills and you nail it. Just a frustrating feeling as an athlete, because you know you could have done it the first time. And you can see that frustration on her face.
Back to Denver on vault with Hewitt.
Controlled hop back, nice vault. But they've got to dial it in if they want to get the win.
They do, there's no doubt about it. That's what BYU is doing on floor, though. Trying to keep up with Utah, with Gantner and Zerbis, both putting in 9.875 routines. Brindley, Anderson, Brookman. She's usually BYU's beam queen. Had a 9.975 against Clemson, which tied her career high now on floor. Has competed there and beam every single meet this year.
Good effort, had a lot of power. Shadow jump traveled a little bit. Judges want to see those jumps happen in place, but head coach Guard Young loves the way that she performs. This routine is so expressive in her choreography.
BYU does have a lot of ground to make up, because they trailed Denver, who was in first, by 0.6 after 2 rotations.
Makes it look so easy and fun, but the fun is choreographed into these routines. They choreograph these specific moments for facial expressions. Nice last pass as well.
Yeah, it's plenty to smile about there for Brindley. She dealt with back injuries early on in the recruiting process when she was being looked at. And by the time she was healthy, no one really had scholarships left. But Guard Young had a great relationship with her club gym. He knows the kind of gymnastics that they have throughout this state, and said, we got a spot for you. She has absolutely rewarded her head coach throughout her career. Arizona will have to reset. Following up Delaney Mead's fall, that is at least a 5/10 deduction coming just for the fall alone. So we're just waiting on the score, and of course going to affect the start value. And we'll go to vault. Addie Hewitt with a 9.775. They're dropping Reidenbach's 9.75. And here is our only look at Mia LaBrush, the reigning Big 12 vault co-champion, but coming off of a 9.8 the last time that Denver competed.
They have all your Chanko fulls in their lineup. Tried to spot it. You could tell she wanted the stick. Had to take that hop backwards, though. Just had so much power off of the table.
And now Abby Martin competing in the all-around. Back-to-back falls here for Arizona. This is certainly disappointing because they were leading going into that second rotation, and now we're just barely behind, I should say, Utah. But what went wrong here?
She held onto the bar too long. Athletes do that to try and elevate the amplitude of their skills, but if you hold on too long, you can't make it back to the low bar or the high bar, and that's what we saw right there in that packed salto.
This is just a killer for the Wildcats.
And so uncharacteristic. We don't usually see that from Abby Martin's bar work. She's so consistent usually on this event. Closes with this double layout.
Let's go to Avery Neff, who's top 13 in the country on beam for Utah.
I love the way she performs that Branny, and also this fun Shushanova down to the beam.
Her gymnastics are just special. Former runner-up in the all-around at Nastia Lukin Cup, showcasing some of the best young gymnasts in this country.
She's so
she's just improved since then.
And competes just smiling through this entire routine. No worries at all. And why would you? Because she sticks like that every time.
That is going to be a big score for Utah. And at the moment, they're dropping a 9.825. You had a feeling that the Red Rocks were going to be hungry going into the third rotation, trailing Denver, and they are showing why they are the favorite here in the third rotation.
And we mentioned it, you know, when Utah's on, they're on. They're on like 9-9 plus on.
Oh, definitely. They're a national championship contender when they're on. One of the teams that has reached that magical 198 plateau. Shyla Bhatia finishes Denver on vault.
Their lone 10.0 start value vault, because it starts from a 10, you have more 10s to play with. Took that step forward, a step in the right direction, we say in gymnastics.
So we were briefly on 10 watch. We thought maybe for Avery's beam routine, it was that good. We'll see what her score does come in as. But let's go back to bars. Abigail Martin with a 9.0, that's gonna count. The 7.2 goes away at the moment for Delaney Mead. But I'm really interested to see how BYU finishes on floor, because they have nothing below a 9.9 at this point.
And they close out with Kylie Aquinto and Zoe Hale. We know they can put up big numbers.
This is Sophie Durnow. She fell on bars last time out. She was in the leadoff spot, though, and now all the way down to number 5 in the order.
Nice amplitude on that Jaeger release move. That's what we saw. And again, nice job on her pack salto as well. We saw those struggles in Delaney's routine with that Jaeger. I like that she still caught with straight arms. Sometimes gymnasts see a fall and they try and pull in and catch the bar early. Floats down the full twisting double tuck with the stick. Good bounce back, but those 2 falls and mistakes are impactful in this lineup. There's no denying it.
Arizona absolutely needed that one. Avery Neff's score was a 9.925 for Utah on beam. Cami Winger is finishing up as we speak right now on beam. And we'll go to floor here with Kylie Quinto. Deb Silva's 9.85 is being dropped right now for BYU. If you drop a 9.85, my goodness, are you in solid shape? Even though they're chasing 6/10, potentially going into this third rotation. And Kylie with the baseball theme. Do you hear the center field from John Fogerty? That is because she has 5 brothers. All of them play baseball.
Well done on the opening double pipe. They've got to be strategic with Kylie's training, has some shin pain, so have to be specific about the amount of reps she does in practice. One of the reasons that Kylie stands apart in NCAA gymnastics is her specificity, and we saw that on her leap right there. Shows the full amplitude and splits, but also the completion of her feet around.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a sports-themed floor routine. This is fun.
They've had some unique routines over the year. They also had that fun Barbie routine a couple of years ago by Rebecca Bean.
Well, as a lover of America's pastime, approved. And with the execution. Let's revisit Cami Winger on beam. This was just moments ago to anchor out the Utes and try to keep a big lead going into the final rotation.
This routine was mesmerizing. That's why you're seeing that 9.975 on the side. Just nailed this triple series. She's had struggles over the years with this acro series, not today, and has had much more consistency this season. Cami talks to Avery Neff every time before she goes onto the beam. I would love if I had a beam speech from Avery Neff leading into my beam routines. I think that would give me some confidence. I know it gives Cami some.
Inspiring, and there is a reason that she anchors this beam rotation for Utah.
So well done on her dismount. That gainer full is a perfect stick.
Cami Winger with a 9.975. She got 2 10s and 2 9.95s. So we'll see what the final score comes in for BYU. Aubrey Kronfeld finishing it off for Arizona on bars, though they're effectively out of this competition, having to count the 9.0 from Abby Martin. A couple of falls for the Wildcats. Denver, did kind of, I guess, what was expected. When you have 6 9.95 star values, you have to be perfect. They started off well. They do drop a 9.75, but they'll have to count the 9.775 from Addie Hewitt. And let's finish off this third rotation with Zoe Hale. And what a time to make your career floor debut. following up Kylie Quinto's 9.85. They are going to drop potentially a 9.85, depending on what Zoe Hale can do. She stayed in, but she did take that extra step.
They can take up to a 10th for that step right there. Saves the 10th of out of bounds deduction though. I've never had my debut on a podium surface, but it probably is tricky to figure out the timing. He mentioned podium's bouncier, it's easier, it's the landings that are harder, and we saw that in that first pass. Last pass for Zoe Hale, front 1.5 to layout, step out, legs buckled out of that, had to work in the layout, step out. Good job keeping it on her feet though.
Not bad to start off your floor career. And we'll see what the judges come up with Hale. Utah has increased its lead over Denver at the moment. It's almost 5/10, but we have to see what Zoe Hale comes in for BYU, because this was a huge floor rotation for them. It's going to be at least 49.475, but the question is, were they just too far in the hole, being down by 6/10 going into this third rotation? But there's no question that Guard Young got his floor party that he so desperately asked for.
They were on fire on floor. They came in hot. They did exactly what head coach Guard Young wanted them to do. They did big gymnastics, but they were able to get the landings. That's why we're seeing that 9.95 start and 9.9s throughout that lineup.
So Utah is on track for yet another 197 if they are able to put together their fourth and final rotation on floor. It would be the 7th straight meet that they get to that point, but they've still got a little work to do as they try to capture their second straight Big 12 championship. Welcome back to the second session of the Big 12 championship. Utah coming off a 49.525 on beam has increased its lead over Denver. It's almost 5/10, and the Red Rocks head coach Carly Dockendorf standing by with Lauren.
Coach, adversity has really been the theme this season, but overcoming adversity, you guys came out and you showed up here at Beam. Just take us through that event and how you really got this team back on top.
Yeah, after bars, I just said we need to focus in and just do our job that we've been practicing, and they really did. They really showed up and they went aggressive and competed hard, and that's how they practice every day. So,
final event is floor. How do you guys go back out there and defend that title?
I think they're pretty excited to do floor right now. There's going to be some good energy in here, and I know they're pumped to show off their dance and their big tumbling and just finish this meet off.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Go Utes.
I can't wait to see them on floor, because BYU set this place aflame with their unbelievable rotation.
They came out of that beam rotation and said, we're gonna light this up. And that's exactly what they did. Had some E-level passes, high flying skills, and good performances.
But Utah reigning supreme in that third rotation, thanks to Beam, where they had some really big scores. Exactly what Utah was looking for. 9.925 from Avery Neff, 9.975 from Cami Winger in the anchor spot.
I have to shout out McKenna Smith as well. I've seen her stick on vault, bars, and beam.
And she had to be thrown right into the mix with that injury to Anna Poterariu. Well, check. They got that box all locked up. We're going to go to the fourth and final rotation. Utah looking to close it out on floor when we come back. Next season, Sprouts Farmers Market Collegiate Quad has been revealed. It's going to be in Greenville at Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Look at these names. We're talking LSU, Florida, Oklahoma, Utah. The Utes are going to be there. Can't wait. Session 1, Saturday, January 9th. Session 2, the following day. ABC for the first session, ESPN for the second. That event has just really taken off. BYU is going to finish out on vault. Right now, they have some work to do, but coming off of a strong floor rotation.
Hop back on that Yurchenko full. They have two 10.0 start value vaults in this lineup.
Denver is on bars. Caitlin Castle, freshman out of Dallas. Denver has work to do, though, down by almost 5/10. And at this point, the Pioneers are the only team that can catch Utah. They do their normal on floor. It's not going to be close.
And a little different challenge for Denver last year. All of the bar lineup competed at Big 12s. They had an advantage. Different lineup this year. New and fresh faces. A little short on that double tuck coming out for Caitlin on bars.
Denver is tied for 22nd in the country on bars. Here's how Utah begins with Ashley Glynn. They are the 18th ranked floor rotation, which is actually the lowest ranked event for Utah this season. They're third on vault, 7th on bars, 11th on beam, and 18th on floor. But still, they are looking for their second straight Big 12 championship. And they only joined the league last year. They're kind of replacing Oklahoma as that perennial favorite in this conference.
Short in that front double twist, uncharacteristic for Ashley Glynn.
That's going to count as a fall.
It is.
That's 5/10 right there. I want to go bigger picture here because Utah's kind of a team that has been inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get out of them. Number 12 in the country, which is much lower than we usually see them. They've never missed nationals, 39 straight years. Do you think this is a team that can get back to Fort Worth once again?
I think they can get back to Fort Worth, but they have to be consistent, and that's what we've seen a lack of from them this season. They've had some struggles even today at the Big 12 championship. But if you're going to work out struggles, you want it at a conference championship before you get to regionals. Didn't get her punch and set that she usually gets twisted right off the floor. You've got to delay a little bit so you get some hip rise before you start twisting. Missed that today.
And so the door might be open for Denver. It might not. Remember, you get to drop your lowest score. And if Johnson, Neff, Zerbis, Smith, and Curtis all put up big numbers, Glynn is not going to matter. Her score won't count. Reidenbach following up a 9.75 from Castle. What is going on with the bars here today inside the Maverick Center?
To me, the bars look a little stiff. You see them struggling on those Jaegers especially. They're not getting the bounce that you usually get. When you have stiff bars, you've got to be extra patient. She let go too early and couldn't get back to it. Got credit for the skill, but the 5/10 fall.
What adjustment can you make if you've seen this throughout the competition, that the bars might be a little stiffer than usual?
You've got to be more patient. And if I'm head coach Melissa Reinhart, I'm telling my team, wait, relax, don't rush your gymnastics, hold on extra long.
So now we know that Castle's score is going to count, and they will try to drop Reidenbach's score. But trying to make up almost 5/10s, you have to be kind of perfect.
And even looking at the bars, they don't have a lot of give at the bottom. That determines how bouncy the bars are. You see them drop a little bit when they're at the bottom of the bar. You're not seeing that deep drop on these bar sets. Got to change your technique a little bit.
Is there anything that you can do if you notice that, or the bars are the way they are? Because, I mean, obviously you can change the cables around and all of that.
And that does impact it. Sometimes they'll drop the cables a little bit, make them looser so they're bouncier.
So Arizona on beam. Lenchner with a 9.825 to start. They were in last coming into this rotation by a few points. So this is just academic here for Arizona to try to get through this meet. And remember, they need to put up a good score to try to avoid missing regionals. And they are going to need a big rotation here. There's a lot on the line for Arizona, even though maybe the Big 12 championship isn't necessarily in the balance.
Yeah, they're expecting to be at regionals, but they've got to get there. So this beam rotation is of utmost importance.
Well, and it's almost in their backyard. They would go to Tempe, which is only about a 2-hour drive from Tucson. Normally, it's a flight. And so they'd have a big representation there. And we're being told by our amazing statistician, Claire Billman, that Arizona is locked in. So the updated situation is that apparently this is not so important anymore here for Arizona on beam. And that's good news for the Wildcats.
Also, they might not know that,
I'm
which
sure they
is
don't.
an advantage for them. They know they need to hit. It makes their competitiveness come out. I think it's a good choice if they don't know it.
I did not see Claire texting John Court, so I would imagine they probably don't. BYU on vault a 9.75 and a 9.8 from Maya Kirkham. Ava Jorgensen is one of those two 10-0 start values. She was the only one last season.
This ball is tricky. Full twisting Yurchenko, pike off. Clean ball that starts from a 10-0. It's hard to do that vault because you twist fully onto the table. Most twist after the block.
Her run-up looks a little different than most that we see too.
Yeah. Her challenge is in the pre-flight, not the post-flight, which is typically seen in these Yurchenko vaults.
Let's go to floor here for Utah. 9.15 for Ashley Glynn. So the stage is set now for the final 5 gymnasts for Utah. They have to hit, and it starts with Zoe Johnson.
A lot of power going into that double layout. Perfect stick.
There's nothing better than a stick and a lunge just because you can. She didn't need to, but she nails that pass.
I love it when they show it off. It's a lot of pressure on your Achilles to stick side by side. That's why they let them take that lunge. Front through to double tuck, double pike. Nice job. Legs a little too tight. Had that bounce back. Stayed in bounds though.
Yeah, you'll certainly take that if you're Utah at this point.
And you saw Miley O'Keefe in the back. Their coaching staff or the people around them that come back is impressive. They got Miley O'Keefe, the national champion, still there. LSU legend Maya Hambrick still there. And then Olympian Grace McCallum still there, aiding to the team.
And she's a student assistant this year.
Legs just a little bit too tight, but minimal deduction there, not too bad.
And exactly what Utah was hoping for. They got the hit after the fall from Glenn. Here's Kylie Rorick following up the fall from Reidenbach.
Does the same skill as Maddie, a Jaeger into this. Patient, waited on the swing and was able to re-grab the bar. Good job from Kylie there. Nails that handstand out of her shoot over down to the low bar. Closes with this double layout. If she could get the stick, this is a really high score. Shuffle backwards, but nice routine and bounce back for the Denver lineup.
Lenchner's score, by the way, to lead off Arizona on beam was reduced from a 9.825 to a 9.775. And here's the all-around after 3 rotations. It is a trio of Utes. Avery Neff leading it off, and she is up next on floor. McKenna Smith and Ella Zerber's not too far behind, and that is really what Utah is competing for at this moment. the all-around championship, as well as, amazingly, trying to secure their 6th straight conference championship. They won the Big 12 last year and the previous 4 in a jam-packed Pac-12. You would have thought at some point UCLA was going to wrench one away from the Utes.
The Utes are a postseason team. They're going to get the win. They navigate through the regular season, and then they get the sticks in the postseason.
So Zoe Johnson's score comes in at 9-9. You can take up to a 10th, so I guess they probably didn't take that full 10th on the bounce back. This is so theatrical and so big.
Such a fun opening combination pass. Avery's just so spunky in her performance, in her gymnastics. Really fast twitch. That's why you see her pop off the ground quickly. Kind of similar to me to Haley Bryant, honestly.
She's still only a sophomore. Grew up just 20 minutes south of the Maverick Center in South Jordan, Utah. And she's going to compete for an individual national championship in the all-around. By the time her career is over, I wouldn't be surprised to see her holding the trophy.
Queen, 1.5 front full.
I thought you said Queen 1.5 front full because it would still apply. It was clean, and that was Queen energy from Avery Neff.
She gives Queen, Supreme, whatever word has the person on top. Avery Neff is there. She's just such a competitor. Ready to go at all moments, ready to deliver 9-9 plus routines. Queen, clean energy, Alex.
Whatever her score is that comes in will be the mark to beat in the all-around competition. Back to bars we go here for Denver. 9.85 coming in for Kylie Rorick. How high does that score go for Avery Neff? Following up what they gave Zoe Johnson with a 9.9.
Almost a perfect 10, 9.975 for Avery Neff. Shyla working beautifully on the bar. Oh, that step back and the double layout is going to be the biggest deduction in that routine. Such a pretty bar swinger, really patient in her rhythm throughout elements.
So Avery Neff comes up just shy of the potential 10 with a 9.975. We saw it from Cammie Winger as well on beam, and now our second 9.975 of the competition here for Utah. So she has 10s on vault and bars, beam and floor is what she needs for a gym slam, which she may get at some point, which is a 10 on all 4 events.
Ella Zervis actually does an anatomy test before her performances, calms her nerves down. Wow. I've seen her stick that front double twist with her feet together so many times. And such a tricky pass to stick. You're blind landing and you're twisting.
She has 5 straight floor scores of 9.9 or better. Avery Neff with that 9.975, by the way, does clinch the all-around no matter what Zervis and Smith do.
Maya Hambrick does the choreography for the Utah program. Have some really fun routines in the back half of their lineup. Intense performances. Beautifully done on that 1.5 last pass for Ella. And she might need to settle her nerves before, but I don't see a lick of those nerves when she's competing. She looks like she's calm, cool, and collected. This pass was exceptional. Watch the form. The way she holds that stick shows it off.
She is all Big 12 on floor, ranked 20th in the country. What does that score come in as? Here's Zoe Hale to finish it off for BYU on vault. Trying to build on that final score to come in. Back to bars here for Denver. And back-to-back scores in the 9-8 range. Mia LaBrush now finishing off her day.
Stunning height on that Maloney. Really floaty. Actually, her first season in the bar lineup as a senior. So much power on that double layout. Scooch backwards. Clean work in that routine. And I can't believe she hasn't been a staple in this bar lineup before this with the way that she swings and performs.
And if she missed 6 meets earlier on in the season with an injury, so she was out of the vault lineup. 9.95 comes in for Zerbis. Utah can still put up a high 197 score if they get big ones from Smith and Curtis. And as we get further and further down the lineup, it's looking like Ashley Glenn's 915 is going to be the score dropped by the Utes. Let's go to Lauren for more.
You see McKenna Smith right now here on the floor, and this girl right here really early on was inconsistent because of the senior syndrome is what coach called it, because she just felt the emotional weight of the season, and finally she decided to let go. She's competing free now and really finding herself being where her feet are and really being present, and you can just see it in the way she competes, performs, and she has such a deep love for this sport and for her team.
And for her fans, she hand-signed 700 pairs of sunglasses that she handed out. That's pretty selfless.
She loves performing. Saw her hold up that U, get the crowd going before she even started. And then let's not forget, this is Dallas Cowboys themed routine. This is the song that the cheerleaders use. I know, because I was gonna audition for the Cowboys for a second there, cheerleaders.
I would love to see that. I watched Making the Team both seasons, and it's impossible. Well, I mean, that's their staple. So good.
McKenna Smith has been on fire today. She has stuck on every single event, going out, full out in the senior year. This first pass was perfect. This front double twist, front tuck, sticks, holds on to it. Front Rudy straight into the layout, step out. Hits those cowboy kicks, jump split. High fives it with her teammates. Awesome job for McKenna Smith.
DCC would be proud.
She should audition.
Oh, I think so. I would throw my hat in the ring for that, no question. McKenna Smith with a 9.95. So that clinches them the meet, and just Sage Curtis to finish up. How high can Utah go as they drop the 9.15 from Ashley Glenn? Big sigh of relief there for McKenna Smith. She looked like she really enjoyed herself. This is Utah Gymnastics here, and it's exciting to be able, yes, it's kind of in their backyard. It's essentially home meet for them, right? Because you see so much red in the stands here at Maverick Center. But they have such an amazing fan base, always packing out the Huntsman Center, one of the most difficult places to compete. And this has been very impressive since that bars rotation. Only their second season in the Big 12, but I mean, 5 straight national championship appearances. They've qualified for every single one. No one else can say that. Not Oklahoma, not LSU, not the Florida Gators. Not UCLA, only Utah. Sage Curtis will close out the competition.
Such a big and open double pike from Sage to start off this routine. Most athletes have to have a tighter pike, but she's so high in the air, she can keep her hips a little more open.
Now the highest that Utah can potentially score is a 197.725. That's with a perfect 10 here from Sage Curtis. She hits, and this is going to be yet another one of those really strong, consistent mid-197s that we've seen from Utah. They've gone above 197 the last 6 meets, and now it's probably going to be 7.
Front full, a difficult combination pass. Done exquisitely, way to close it out, Sage Curtis for the Utes.
How much can this type of final rotation, already in a postseason environment, springboard them into regionals?
A lot. I feel like this was a huge step for Utah. The confidence was built, had that mistake in the beginning, dropped back, but then we saw the bounce back, and that's the team that we know that they can be.
And I think, you have to give a lot of credit to specifically what Zoe Johnson did. Ashley Glenn comes out with the 915, the fall. Vibes aren't so amazing here in the Maverick Center. She posts a 9-9 and gets everything back on track, and Def Service, Smith, and Curtis fed off of that energy.
Zoe did an excellent job of getting the team back on track. Could have made that mistake on her double flipping pass bigger than it was. Relaxed into the pass and was able to keep it on her feet and a cleaner landing.
We just wait to see what Curtis's score comes in. My goodness. A 9.95. That is a 49.725 floor rotation for Utah. Easily a season high, and congratulations to the Utes for the second straight season. They are the Big 12 Gymnastics champions.
Well deserved for the Utah Utes. They looked like the team that deserved to win. We said whoever shows up and gets the most sticks is going to win, and that's exactly what they did.
Their final score, 197.675, and Utah wins. We'll wrap it all up when we come back here in West Valley City. 2026 Big 12 Gymnastics Championship is in the books, and by more than a full point, Utah wins with a 197.675 and a massive 49.725 floor exercise to closing out, tying Georgia for the 4th highest rotation on floor in 2026. And Lauren is down with the winning head coach.
Here with the winning coach, Carly Dockendorf and Avery Neff, the all-around winner tonight. Look, you're hoisting the Big 12 championship trophy once again. You talk about this team being built by adversity. How did they get it done tonight?
I mean, we had some more adversity tonight, and we've been in that position before, and we've just learned from those experiences and just stayed focused on what we needed to do. And I was just so proud this team just kept working till the end.
You faced a lot of challenges early in the season. You had a big reset, and the biggest thing was coming out and attacking. How did you see them do that here tonight?
I did throughout the whole night. You know, the vaults, we started off really big, and bars, we had a couple uncharacteristic things, and they just kept attacking. They didn't hold back. We went to beam. Instead of being, tight and tense, we just went really hard on that event and then finished on floor just like we knew we needed to.
Can you talk about attacking? One of those that attacks, Avery Neff, standing by here, winning the all-around, the lion of this team. What was big for you tonight in being able to come out and have the performance you did?
Yeah, I think conference is such a fun place to be, especially on podium. And so I think especially us, we like to thrive in these situations, and especially having our home crowd is like a feeling that you can't replace. And so I think having conference here is just an amazing feeling where we can really just throw it out all on the floor and just know that we're good enough. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to do amazing, extraordinary things. We just have to do our normal gymnastics. And I think there's some uncharacteristic mistakes, but ultimately I think if you want to win a national championship, there's going to be some adversity. So I think we're learning it.
And when you talk about adversity, the lion and the sheep, that was the big thing that you guys went through earlier this season. How did you step into that role and use that to propel you forward?
Funny you say that. We've actually been talking about being lions. So really just attacking our gymnastics, no holding back. Because when you hold back, it gets careful, and that's when the mistakes happen. So just letting it swing, doing our normal gymnastics, what we do in practice, and that's attacking. Ultimately just trusting each other and trusting ourselves and having the confidence that we can do this, and we are amazing gymnasts, that we can show the world what we're capable of.
And built by adversity, I think that now becomes the team mantra. How does this push you forward and give you that confidence heading into the postseason?
I mean, I think there's nothing that we can't handle at this point. We've pretty much been through it all, and so we're going to use that as one of our tools going into regionals, and just going to keep working in the gym and showing up and do our job when we get there.
All right, thank you guys so much. Hoisting that Big 12 trophy, I know it feels oh so good. Congratulations once again. Enjoy this one, and good luck the rest of the way.
So much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Avery Neff and her young career is now 2 for 2 here at the Big 12 Championship, and she wins the individual all-around, tying her career high with a 39-7. Ute celebrating again. We're back to wrap it all up right after this. At the Maverick Center, we knew that if Utah hit, that they were going to be the Big 12 champions. That's exactly what happened, and they were afforded a little bit of a mistake as well, only a 49.05 on bars. They rebounded from it and end up winning this one by over a full point over Denver, followed by BYU, Arizona State, Arizona, and West Virginia. Hi there again, back with you one last time, Alex and Kennedy. Well, another Big 12 championship is in the books. What impressed you the most?
Utah's resiliency. We talked about the bounce back. It's about how strongly you can come back after a mistake. They did the best job of that, and that's why we see them get the win today.
What do you think of their odds going into the postseason now after what you saw out there?
I think their odds are in their favor. We saw that resiliency. They can carry that through into the postseason. Hey, a 197.675 with a mistake in the beginning, not bad.
No, and they are the ones celebrating when it's all said and done. On Monday, they will learn their fate. Where are they heading for the NCAA regionals? We'll find out. They are officially locked in as the number 12 seed, but Denver, BYU, Arizona, and Arizona State will hear their names called as well. Noon Eastern on ESPNU for the Gymnastics Selection Special. That will do it for us here in Utah with Kennedy Baker and Lauren Sisler for our fantastic crew working hard all day. I'm Alex Perlman saying so long. Utah's your Big 12 champion.